Hello, and welcome back to Conquering Finale. My name is Jason Lafredo, and today we're continuing on tackling the text tool. We're talking about text inserts, and in the text tool, if we go into the text menu, the inserts is about halfway down here, and there are a bunch of things that we can choose, and they're all grayed out right now because I don't have an active text block chosen. So I'm going to go over to this blank page, and I'm going to create a new text block. And as soon as I do that and get my cursor, now all of these inserts are available. And the idea behind these inserts is that some of these are tokens that recall information from other places, the score manager among them. And other things are just plain things that you can add, like the accidentals here, the file name, a lot of different things that can be done. So the idea is that it makes it easier to insert that information in line with your text. And starting with the top section here, which is all of the accidentals, and you'll see that the sharp, flat, and natural do have keyboard shortcuts, Shift, Command, S, F, and N for sharp, flat, and natural. And it just makes it easier to type those in line with the text. Because if I were to try and do something like B flat and just type a lowercase b, yeah, I could highlight that and go to the text font and choose Maestro and all that stuff, but it's kind of a pain in the neck. And there's other problems involved with that. So the Finale provides us this tool to just create a flat inline. So Shift Command F creates a flat. Shift Command S would give us a sharp. N would give us a natural. And there are no shortcuts for the double sharps and double flats because probably you're not going to use them all that often, but you can always just choose them from here. All right, so that's really handy. And one thing which is weird about this, I think this is a Mac only thing. Those shortcuts are available when you first enter a text block. After the text block is created and you go and to edit it, for some reason the sharp and natural shortcuts don't exist anymore. I kind of know the reason. It's because Shift Command S also serves as save as in Finale. There it is, Shift Command S, and Shift Command N for the natural is the launch window. So for some reason there's a duplicate of the keyboard shortcuts on a Mac, and so that's why I guess they're giving you the option to use them when you first add a text block, but not later on. If you try to do a sharp right here, you'd get the save as function. So just a little oddity about that. Incidentally, in the edit text window, where you can type text here, those shortcuts will always be available to you. So just one more little strange thing about it. Moving on from the accidentals, the next thing on the insert list is the page number and total pages, and this also has Shift Command P for a shortcut, and it does just that. It adds a page number, and this page number will dynamically change depending on which page you're on. So if I were to, let's say, apply this to, let's just do a page range of 1 to 2 for now. You'll see that it shows as 1 here, but on the second page it shows as 2. And I actually already have page numbers in this file. You can see them here, 3 and 4. This is all the same text block, and yes, they are on different sides of the page here. I'm going to talk about this in the next video. This has to do with facing pages positions that you can do in that frame attributes window, and I will show you that in the next video. But these are actually page number inserts, all right? The other thing that's available there, actually, let me just go in here and add the next insert there, is the total pages. So when you add the total pages, you might actually have to have a text that you want to type here too. So 3 of 40, for example. This 40 number will update depending on how many pages are in the file. So if we go to the end and actually we can just delete measures so that we're deleting the last page here. You'll see that the last page is now 39. So that's another thing that gets updated dynamically. One other thing related to page numbers, let me just go in here and I'm just going to delete this of 39 situation here. Finale will allow you to offset page numbers. If you select the text block that the page number exists in, there is in the text menu an edit off page offset section here. And if you click that, you get this little window that says, it asks you to add to the current page number. And so if we choose something like 2, what it's going to do is every time this text block has a page number in it, it's going to add 2 to it. So this number will now become 5. The next number will become 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. So you can actually change the offset if you need to start the pages, not at page 1. These numbers can be negative as well. So if I put in a -2 here, you'll see that my page 3 now becomes page 1. And I believe we can actually go farther negative than that. If we do like -5, then you'll start getting negative page numbers until you get page 0, page 1, etc. So there's some flexibility with that. And it's always adding to the page number. It's never going to show you the current page offset when you open this window. So to reset it, you'll just have to put in 0, which will add 0 to the third page, giving you 3. So back to normal. One unfortunate thing about the edit page offsets is that these are global as far as parts and score is concerned, so there is no way to have separate page offsets between your score and your parts, unless you actually add multiple text blocks with page numbers. Then each text block can have its own page offset, but that's kind of a pain because then you'd have to create a page number text block for every single part, which means that you have to kind of hide it or move it off the page, except for the part that's active. It's really a kind of a pain in the neck to do it. I do wish that Finale would give us the ability to offset the page differently between parts and score. That would be incredibly handy. In the next section of the text inserts, let's look at what we're looking at here. These are, most of these are the score manager inserts, and you'll see things like title, subtitle, composer, arranger, lyricist, not the copyright symbol. This is just inserting a copyright symbol for you, but copyright text, part and score name, performance time and description. Performance time is the one that's also not from the score manager. Everything else in this section right here comes from the score manager. So if I click the title here, you'll actually see something fill out. You'll see the tackling the text tool title. And that information is found in the score manager, and you can see all of those things here: the title, the subtitle, the composer, the arranger, lyricist, copyist, copyright, description, and the score name insert text, right? So as long as you choose one of those inserts, it's going to recall one of those fields. So we can do the subtitle here, and you'll see that now I'm seeing lesson 2 basic, right? Now, if the field in the score manager is blank, and you may be familiar with this, if you open a default document in Finale, you'll see something like this where you have this title, but the text is kind of grayed out. Finale creates this text block for you, but you'll see that it says title, but there's not really a title there, and it won't print. This is what happens when the fields within the score manager are blank. And all we have to do to change that is actually create a real title. And as soon as you do that, it will change that title, that grayed out title text here, to the real title. Now, the advantage of using these score manager inserts is that you can do things like put the title in multiple places, which is what we do a lot of times with these parts and scores. We'll put the title a little bit bigger on the page, on the first page here, but then we'll also have the title here, which will get a text block that's assigned to the second or third page on to the end of the score, right? So that you're actually using the information twice. So when you change the title itself, it will not only change on the first page, but it will also change in the other insert as well. So as long as you keep using that title insert, it will change no matter where you actually where that title exists, right? Now, once you have these inserts, these score manager inserts here, you can go ahead and edit these, and you can do things like stylize them. So if I were to just select this, of course I can do, go in here and decide to boldface this, and that's totally fine. And you'll notice that it will just boldface in this text block, where it will leave this one alone. So the stylization is sort of independent from the text in the score manager. Although I have discovered that what you can't do with this is you can't actually stylize part of the insert. So if I were to try and do that now with just text tool selected, you'll see that it will actually stylize the entire text. So very slight limitation there, but that's what's going on. And obviously, as you can see, you can have multiple score manager inserts, or really any multiple inserts in the same text block. So I have the title and the subtitle, both within this text block. And finally, the last thing to realize about these score manager inserts, which I think is kind of important to know, you can actually edit within these text blocks, but you do have to be careful about how you're editing. I don't know if you can see it, but you can kind of see my cursor at the end of the word basic parentheses here, and it's blinking and it's a thin line. If I click over to the left, one arrow, you'll see a different cursor. It's just a little bit thicker. When that cursor is thick like this means you're actually editing the text within the score manager. So if I were to go, I don't know, just add the word easy here, the first thing you'll notice is that it stays gray, and I should have mentioned that you'll know that these are score manager inserts because they're gray, right? So you can see that. And you'll see that it says easy now here. And if I go back into the text block, you'll see that it actually changed the subtitle to add that word. If I were to go and delete that, it would get removed, right? There's a slight difference between that thick cursor and the thin cursor. So now I've got that thin cursor going, and if I type that word, this is an independent text from the insert. So now the word easy is not going to be put in the subtitle. So just be careful about how you're editing these. It can be handy, and sometimes you don't have to go into the score manager to change the title, for example. You just have to be careful about what cursor you're using, right? The thin cursor, the thick cursor. And now we can change the actual title, which will change here, and will also change there. So that's what's going on there. Just thought I'd mention that. Just be careful. And of course, the same thing exists when you delete. Be careful if you have the thick cursor, you'll be deleting within the text block. If you choose the thin cursor, oh, it actually, yes, that's right. It moves over to the thick cursor there. If you delete the whole thing, this is where it gets a little confusing. If you delete the whole thing, you're actually deleting the whole title from the score manager. So just be careful about what you're doing in terms of that. All right, and that is the score manager insert. There is one other special score manager insert I want to mention. And of course, you can use any of these fields in any way that you want. In fact, you'll notice that I've got Conquering Finale here as the composer, and the arranger is hosted by, and the lyricist is video number, etc. Like, you don't actually have to use these things to indicate the things that they're asking you to indicate. So you can feel free to use these inserts in any creative way that you can think of. The one thing I wanted to talk about was the score name insert text, and you'll see that here you have score, and we can call this, full score, and it will go ahead and change the text here. The insert there is actually called, where is it? Part score name, right? So what this means is that that insert will change depending on which part you're viewing. So now I go to my flute part, and it says flute 1, now it says flute 2, now it says oboe, now it says English horn, right? And those names are generated from the Manage Parts window, the actual part names, which you can kind of see here, flute 1, oboe, English horn. So whatever these names are, these will get inserted in the part score insert text into the appropriate part and score. So that's what's going on there with that special part score insert. Let's just talk about a couple of these other ones here. We have below all of this, the file name, current date, file date, time, etc. This is just literally going to do that. This is the name of the file. We can insert the current date. We could insert the file date. Now the file date is going to be different than the current date. The file date is going to be the last date that the file was saved, which may or may not be the same as the current date. So a couple different ways to use the date here. Insert, and there's also time. Now this time will actually update. So if I wait a few minutes, this will change from 3:33 to 3:34, 3:35, etc. And interestingly, if you press the update layout, it will change eventually. And whenever you print, it will also print the exact time that it was printed. So be cautious with this time stamp, because it will change on you as you're going. I mean, literally, that's the point of it. So, And now it just turned to 334. So if I update layout, there it goes. Now it says 334. One other thing about the time stamp here, I'm just going to go into the document and document options and look at the text options here. You do have a couple options in the bottom section. I'm going to talk about this in a later video. This has to do with the insert symbols for the accidentals. But in the bottom section, you have the option of including seconds in the timestamp. And you also have the choice of 3 different formats for the date. When you change these, it will not change the current text blocks that exist, so that you'll only get those changes when you actually add new text blocks. Add the time here. We should get the seconds, and there we go. All right, so that's what's going on there. And let's see what else we have in the inserts menu. Below all of this, we have symbol. Now, this is a very important one. This is going to allow you to pick, oops, wrong screen. There we go. This is allow you to pick the symbol from the font that you're currently using. And so I have Times New Roman chosen, so it's actually going to give me all of the symbols in Times New Roman. And actually, there's a ton of them, by the way. So you can actually literally go through and just choose one like this if you don't know how exactly to type it. The place where this comes in handy is when you're using music fonts. So if I were to change this to the Maestro font instead of Times New Roman, if I could find it, so many fonts, Maestro. It's sometimes impossible to know like what you're supposed to type to get a certain music character, but if you use the insert symbol, it will pull up the symbol selection for the entire Maestro font. So now you can find all kinds of things that you might need. If you need the treble clef, for example, you can just choose that, and you can get that as in your text block. Now, the thing with music symbols in text blocks is that, sorry, I'm thinking and doing a lot of things here, is that they don't always line up correctly, although some of them do. So it depends on the music character. Like the treble clef is going to look okay in line with text, but if I were to actually change this, and let's insert a different symbol here. Let's go and insert a dynamic, mezzo forte. You'll see that they, it depends on where the line is. Like it's not centered. And of course the sizing is always going to be different. This is sort of a constant battle between, fonts, text fonts and music fonts in Finlay. The music fonts have to be built a certain way so that they line up in a certain way on the staff. So that means that they don't always line up correctly with text inline. So this is where you're going to need to do things with baseline shifts and all that kind of stuff, changing font sizes to get it to look correct. But this is the general idea of it, and I'm going to talk a lot more about some of these more advanced stylizing options, including baseline tracking and superscript, in an upcoming video. Couple things left in that insert menu here. Actually, they're grayed out. You see there's something called value number, controller number, and pass number. These 3 inserts are only available in the expression tool. By the way, I should have mentioned that anytime that you get this text menu, you have available to you these inserts. So that means that they're available as expressions. They're available anywhere you can type text, essentially, in Finale, and that's a lot of different places. You could even use them in the the staff tool for part names, as you can see, or the staff names here. The flat and the B flat clarinet part right there. So these inserts are available not just in the text tool directly, but anywhere you can type text in Finale. So the last thing I want to talk about is this little thing below inserts. It's called Hyperlink. Now this will actually allow you to put a link like you would on a website in Finale. So I can type in a text, and you can type in an address. Getting there. And when you type this in and click OK, you'll get a hyperlink. Now, what's odd is that these hyperlinks are only active within Finale. So if you were to actually print a PDF, it's not like you could click on this text to get to a website. But from within Finale, you can either, within the text tool or actually within the selection tool, if you option click, it should, there it goes, it brings up the link that you just typed in that hyperlink. So I guess there's moderate usages for this. I'm not quite sure what that is, but because you do have to have Finale open in order to do this, but that's exactly what happens. Incidentally, this is colored blue. This will actually print blue if you have a color printer, and it will be blue on your PDFs as well. So this is not an interface color. This is an actual color that will print. I suppose the nifty thing to do with these is actually to also stylize these so that they're hidden. And then if you have a file that you want to share with somebody and you want to have your website as an active link in Finale, you could do it like this, and then they would see that and they would option click on it and they would get to your website. So that's, you know, one way that this can be used. So yeah, so that is the inserts in the text menu. It's an important part of understanding the text tool. All of these inserts are very, very handy. You know, you should just get used to knowing how they work and, you know, explore them a little bit. And yeah, that's all there is to it. So yeah, that's all there is for inserts. The next thing we're going to deal with is alignment and positioning. So come back for that. That's going to be an important video. We'll be able to actually put these in place instead of just randomly strewn about your page. And there's a lot to learn about that as well. So come back for that. All right. Once again, thanks for watching. My name is Jason. This has been Conquering Finale, and this has been the Tackling the Text tool. And I will see you soon on the next video.